All right, guys, welcome to my channel, guys. So, China finally backs Nigeria over the threat of the U.S. president, the person of Donald Trump, right? Thereby saying that Donald Trump is trying to use some religious matters and want to invade the country Nigeria based on what he believes or maybe what he wants. But that's not an issue. The very issue here is that the very truth about it is that there is a genocide of the Christian religion in Nigeria. Nobody is going to deny that fact. Like everyone has been suggesting for some time now, that this is the time that the Nigerian government actually needs to do something about the killings of Christians and some other unpleasant unaliving that has been happening in the state of Nigeria. So let's stay tuned. And please, just in case it's the first time you're seeing this channel or you're coming across this channel, please do also well to subscribe and then turn on the post notification bell for more updates from this channel. Let's take a look.
Vice President Dick Cheney has died at the age of 84. Mr. Cheney served as Vice President under President George Bush from 2001 to 2009. The former President, George W. Bush, describes his passing as a loss to the nation and a sorrow to his friends. According to his family, he died from complications of pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease on Monday night. He previously served as President Gerald Ford's White House Chief of Staff in the 1970s and spent a decade in the House of Representatives before becoming Defense Secretary in 1989. As Vice President, he was a key architect of the war on terror following the devastating 9/11 attacks and an early advocate of the 2003 invasion of Iraq. Mr. Cheney later became a strong critic of the Republican Party under Donald Trump and will also be remembered for accidentally shooting a friend during a 2006 hunting trip. Well, the race is on for the mayor's seat in New York as U.S. President Donald Trump has endorsed Andrew Cuomo in the New York City mayoral race, urging voters not to elect left-wing frontrunner Zoran Mamdani. Mr. Cuomo, who is an independent candidate and former Democratic governor of New York, responded saying the president's statement is less of an endorsement of him than an attack on Mamdani. President Trump also threatened to cut federal funding to New York City if Mr. Mamdani is elected. While opinion polls show that Mr. Mamdani, the Democratic nominee leading Cuomo, who is running as an independent after losing to him in the Democratic primary. Well, here in Nigeria, China is firmly opposing the United States' use of religion and human rights to meddle in Nigeria's affairs after Washington threatened a possible military action over the alleged killing of Christians in the north. During a news conference in Beijing today, the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said religion and human rights is not an excuse to interfere with other countries' internal affairs and threaten them with sanctions and force. She says, as Nigeria's comprehensive strategic partner, China firmly supports the Nigerian government in leading its people on the development path suited to its national conditions. On Saturday, U.S. President Donald Trump threatened Nigeria with possible military action for the alleged killing of Christians, with claims that Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. He also accused radical Islamists of being responsible for the mass slaughter. The Nigerians in the Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, in the meantime, is urging Nigerians at home and abroad to unite against the decision to classify Nigeria as a country of particular concern by U.S. President Donald Trump. Chairman CEO of NIDCOM, Honorable Abike Dabiri-Erewa, makes reference to statements issued by President Bola Tinubu and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, appealing to Nigerians in the diaspora to remain calm, united, and continue to defend and project the true image of the country. In a statement issued by Honorable Dabiri Araba, she says Nigeria is a country built on tolerance, diversity and democratic values, and that the conspiracy theory depicting Nigeria as a country killing Christians in particular is not the true reflection of what is going on in Nigeria. According to her, President Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed the nation's unwavering commitment to religious liberty and mutual respect. Well, from the east to the west coast of the United States, Nigerian Americans are speaking out about the recent comments by President Trump that the U.S. will take action against Islamist militant groups. Our Washington, D.C. correspondent Maria Bird spoke with a California-based leading Nigerian physician. Take a listen.
The good doctor, we thank you so much for joining us as you have been on channels before, and we truly appreciate you taking the time as it's a really interesting time globally and specifically most recently with President of the United States Trump mentioning the fact that he is ready to put boots on the ground, to put the military on the ground to address what he is considering a mass killing of Christians in Nigeria. Tell us how Nigerians in the diaspora, and specifically in the United States, I know you're located in California, are responding to this.
Well, thank you for having me, and good evening to your viewers, because I'm in California right now. I think, as you said, it's a very interesting time, and first of all, say that I am one of the Nigerians in the diaspora, so I don't speak for all Nigerians in the diaspora. There are varying views, and there are many organizations. But from my point of view, I think this issue could be boiled down into a number of points. There are a lot of nuances to it, but one is that there's killing going on in Nigeria. Almost everybody agrees, whether you call it genocide, whether you call it Islamic jihadists, whether you call it Boko Haram, whether you call it herder-farmer conflict, there are killings going on in Nigeria. The Nigerian government recognizes that, and that needs to be addressed, and that needs to be solved. And then, of course, the Trump administration's threat to put some boots in the ground is concerning because, just to quote Colin Powell, we break it, we own it. And though we can go in there and take care of the violence, the question is, so what after that? And so I think that's very, very important that we, as Nigerian diaspora, Nigerian Americans in the diaspora, get involved to at least one is educate our American government, particularly our legislators, about the nuances of what's going on in Nigeria. It's not a simple Christian Islamic fight, but there's no doubt that there are jihadists, there are Islamists, and so anybody characterizing it as quote unquote genocide against Christian is not too far from the truth. But that's really to say is that I think the Nigerian government unfortunately has been a little bit slow to respond to this. This has been going on for a long time. We were recently MPAC in June, where in Congress for a day with the Congress, and we met with Chris Smith, and at that time this conversation was going on. His office said, listen, where are the Nigerians? Where is the Nigerian government? And we only have a charge d'affaires. United States is the most important country in the world, and we have no ambassador. I think that's glaring. So at this point, those of us in the diaspora need to do one thing. We need to organize ourselves. Not only organize ourselves and speak to our government, American government, and our legislators, but to be sort of the subject matter expert on the one side. On the other side is that as native Nigerians, we are culturally aware, we understand the complexity of the issue. We also need to talk to our government at the highest level to understand that killing Nigerians by Nigerians, for whatever name you call it, is unacceptable. And so the president has to take bold action that shows that he takes this serious. Relieve some people of their positions if they're not doing the work that you want. But at the end of the day, we want zero killing of Nigerians by Nigerians for whatever reason.
So we know that there is the G20 summit is coming very soon. We know that Nigeria's president was supposed to come to the White House expected this week, but we know that that's no longer happening because they're going to plan to meet in the G20 summit. What is your advice for the U.S. president in his conversations with Nigeria's governmental administration around how to address this? What should be their topics of discussion?
Well, I think my advice to the president is that the current problem is sort of a manifestation of a broader problem. One is the failure of our government to address some of the fundamental issues that are driving this: poverty, lack of economic opportunities, obscene corruption, elections that are really not free and fair. So some of those fundamental changes need to be brought to the forefront, because if we do that, everybody recognizes that Nigerians are very smart, very hardworking. If we have a free and fair Nigerian chosen leaders, these problems will not be there. So that my suggestion to the president is to demand concrete actions and not really put boots on the ground, because we don't want our children, our Marines, and our American kids dying in Nigeria if Nigerians can't solve this problem for themselves. But again, that would mean putting concrete demands on the government to do things that are visible.
And lastly, we know that the president had former President Buhari at the White House in his last administration. We know that diplomacy is a huge part of any presidential administration. Do you think this is going to have an impact on U.S.-Nigerian relations, knowing the vastness of the impact Nigeria has on the global economy?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, Nigeria is, quote unquote, the giant of Africa, even though we've not lived up to it. We have tremendous human resources, tremendous mineral resources, all kinds of resources that Nigeria has available. So anything that destabilizes Nigeria, first of all, destabilizes the entire West African continent, even the entire Africa. So anything that really gets to cause instability in Nigeria will unfortunately have consequences and downstream effects that may not be anticipated. So that's one of the reasons why I'm calling our president to be more strategic. I think his statement has woken up people, and this is not a time to say, okay, here are metrics that I would like to see so that we don't have to come in.
We thank you so much for joining us. We thank you for your comments, and we will continue to keep up on how the U.S. and Nigeria move forward.
Thank you very much for asking me.
As the full extent of Hurricane Melissa's destruction emerges, the United Nations World Food Programme is intensifying relief efforts in the hardest hit areas to support local authorities. Almost 6 million people across Jamaica, Cuba and Haiti have been impacted by the storm. The WFP has begun emergency food distribution to the worst affected families, with additional relief supplies expected to arrive in the coming days. The agency also provided cash transfers and early warnings ahead of the storm, helping to protect lives and livelihoods. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar has said Tel Aviv will not compromise on the disarmament of Hamas during an official visit to New Delhi, India. Saar held talks with India's External Affairs Minister, with both sides highlighting their strategic partnerships and sharing stances against terrorism. Mr. Saar praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi's support following the Hamas attacks of October 7 and said Israel and India would continue to build a long-term strategic partnership. He said radical terrorism poses a mutual threat to both nations and has described Hamas, Hezbollah and the Houthis as terror states that have threatened regional stability. He stresses that uprooting these groups is necessary for security and stability, reaffirming that Hamas must be disarmed and Gaza demilitarized.
Our two nations face a particular challenge from terrorism. It is essential that we work towards ensuring a global approach of zero tolerance towards terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. We have naturally been following developments in your region with very close attention. We welcome the return of the hostages and the remains of those who unfortunately lost their lives. India supports the Gaza peace plan and hopes that it paves the way for a durable and lasting solution. Excellency, your visit allows us to review our bilateral cooperation and assess the possibilities for further deepening it. The recent conclusion of our bilateral investment agreement is a notable step in that direction. It is noteworthy that your colleagues, your ministerial colleagues dealing with agriculture, economy, tourism, and finance have all visited us recently. In recent times, India has developed many new capabilities, especially in rail, road, and port infrastructure, in renewable energy, and in health. Our businesses are very keen to explore opportunities in Israel, and we would certainly like to give that more attention. We also have a very strong record of working together in agriculture and in innovation. Taking that forward is very much in our mutual interest. There is a history of cooperation in semiconductors and in cyber. That has become more relevant now. We are hosting the AI Impact Summit next year in February in India. We look forward very much to Israel's presence. Indian workers are also today present in Israel in growing numbers as a result of our mobility understandings. They have some issues which need attention, and I hope that we can take that dimension of our ties forward. Given our strategic cooperation and exchange of perspectives on regional and global issues also holds great value. There are some plurilateral initiatives in which we both have a strong interest. I look forward to that aspect of our deliberations as well. So once again, a very warm welcome to India. And may I invite you to make your opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's an honor to be in New Delhi. I thank you, Minister Dr. Jaishankar, for the warm hospitality. Thank you. We appreciate Prime Minister Modi's strong solidarity. We remember that he was the first world leader to call Prime Minister Netanyahu after Hamas October 7 massacre, and we won't forget it. Minister, I believe that India is the future. I told you that. India is the world's largest democracy and the fastest growing economy. India is a global superpower. Israel is a regional powerhouse. Our nations already shares a warm friendship. Our goal is to build a long-term strategic partnership between Israel and India. Your Excellency, radical terror is a mutual threat to Israel and India. We strongly condemn the horrific terror attack in Pahalgam. In the Middle East, Israel faces a unique phenomenon which I call terror states. The radical terror states of Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and Houthis in Yemen have established themselves over the past decades. Uprooting them is necessary for the security and stability of our region. The eradication of Hamas terror state is at heart of President Trump's plan. Hamas must be disarmed. Gaza must be demilitarized. We will not compromise on it. Minister, I believe that the future for regional partnerships is bright. Israel supports regional connectivity projects such as I2U2 and IMEC. We want to promote connectivity between South Asia, West Asia, and Europe. I want to finish by thanking you, dear Minister, for your friendship. I look forward to our discussions today.
At least 7 climbers have been killed after an avalanche hit a Himalayan peak in northeastern Nepal. According to expedition officials, rescuers have recovered 2 bodies and are searching for 5 others believed to be buried under the snow. 8 survivors have also been airlifted to the capital, Kathmandu, for treatment. District police say the climbers had set out just over an hour before the avalanche struck. Well, China has officially released its 15th five-year plan, officially known as the 15th Five-Year Plan for Economic and Social Development of the People's Republic of China, a set of goals for national economic development. The plan covers the years from 2026 to 2030, which will be informed by the results of the 5th Economic Consensus. The phrasing of a 5-year plan often offers signals of where China believes the future is heading. The Chinese leadership has called this plan a crucial link in the country's path towards fundamental modernization by 2035.
I'm so excited that our General Consulate, together with China Media Group, to organize this global dialogue on innovation, openness, and shared development Nigeria session. Because you know that recently just successfully were held in Beijing the 4th plenary session of the 20th Central Committee of CPC. And the most important that they adopted the 15th five-year plan. Yeah, and I think that this plan not only important for China's development in the future, but also it can benefit the people from all of the world, including Nigeria, because that in this plan, yes, Chinese government, Chinese people, we know, yes, in which area we should focus, yes, development, like the new digital economy, yeah, innovation, opening up, and the industrialization, modernization, and so on.